Hello and welcome to another week of Living Lives. Today, my guest is Jan Trautwein, and we're going to be talking about some mindset stuff. But first, let me tell you what's in my diffuser. Today, I have adaptive oil in the diffuser, and I'll tell you why. It's kind of funny, actually. Adaptive is our calming blend, and about half an hour ago or 40 minutes ago, I got an email from Jan. Are we still on? I haven't heard from you. And it turns out I forgot to actually hit save in my calendar thing, which would have sent him the link to the show. So I panicked because he's in Greece and I'm here in Connecticut, and I wasn't sure if if I was gonna have guests today. So I put some adaptive in to calm down. So let's talk about Jan and get into our show, though. Jan, he says, this is a quote from his website, I'm here on this planet to help others develop a mindset that enables them to contribute and live authentically and joyfully. And if that doesn't align with what I do, I don't think anything does. So I'd like to welcome Jan to the show.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
You're really good.
So you showed me where you were a minute ago. He's on this beautiful, it doesn't look at the background now because he's up against the edge of the house, but he's got this beautiful view. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? He's in Greece. So I'm
right
jealous. I'm jealous, but that's okay. I'm here in my lovely apartment in Connecticut, and that's fine. So, Jan, tell us about yourself. What's your story? What got you into holistic mindset coaching?
Okay, so the quick story, at least the beginning, is I studied physics because I was always curious and I loved space, and so I thought, yeah, why not study physics? Later, I found out I actually also just studied because I could. I had good enough grades to go to university, and it was just the logical thing to do. And I realized it's not going to be my thing. So I finished my bachelor degree, but I was already looking for something else, and I got really interested in entrepreneurship. And it came the way that a friend of mine asked me to found a company with him right after I finished studying, my bachelor degree. So I said yes to that opportunity. We founded the company. I worked with my friend on this project for around 2.5 years. And in the last, I would say 6 months, I got depressed. And the reason for that was that we didn't really make progress. So he was the coder responsible for developing the app. It was an app for childcare centers and kindergartens to help them, organize everything and just go with the time and use the digital tool. In Germany, I don't know for other countries, but in Germany, a lot of the childcare sector is way behind when it comes to digital tools. So anyway, I realized I'm waking up and I'm not excited for the day. In fact, it was the opposite. I was another day. What am I even doing here? We're not making any progress. And it was the first time in my life where I felt just really unhappy. And that led to the decision to first leave the project and then go to Australia for 1 year to get in a different environment, because I figured that will help me get out of my low. And it also led to me asking how happiness works. So the first time in my life, I was how does this actually work? Until before the depression, everything was kind of just, moving forward, and it was okay. And then I was unhappy. So, now looking back, I'm so grateful to have had this depression, because it completely changed my life. So the spark was lit up in Australia by reading The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle, other spiritual books about psychology. I started meditating, started journaling, all of those things. And I came back to Germany 1 year later, worked in the startup of my brother for around a year. and realized I want to help people. I want to have like a direct impact and help someone improve their life. And that's basically how I got into coaching. Yeah.
I noticed, I was looking at your ebook that you have, and you talk about the danger of just wanting to be happy.
Yeah.
Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah. So the first time actually I realized how problematic that can be is I did some self-reflection around beliefs, I think based on a book from Tony Robbins, I'm not sure anymore. And I wrote down all the beliefs that I had, just everything that came to my head. And then I went through each of them and looked at, is this actually helping me in my life or is it holding me back? And if yes, in which ways? And there was a belief like something like, I just want to be happy. I just want to be as happy as possible. And when I looked at it, I realized I have this pattern that if I start a project, first I'm excited, like, oh, cool, great idea. Let's go do something about it. And then the next day or a few days later, I hit an obstacle or I just need to do something that's boring. And because I have this belief, I just want to be as happy as possible. I do something that I don't enjoy, and my internal voice goes like, "You're not feeling happy right now. If you would just go out and play soccer, that would be more fun." So I would go out and play soccer. But the consequence is I never get anything meaningful done, right? Like I just start and then it becomes like difficult or boring and I stop. And the core of it, the root of it was the belief that I just want to be as happy as possible. And I tried to basically chase happiness in a very direct way. And then later, by reading spiritual teachers, I found out like, oh, okay, this is something that not only me found out, like other people are experiencing the same thing. And happiness, the more you try to be happy, the more you realize when you're not happy, and it creates this. It's kind of backfiring on us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now I see happiness as something. It's like a byproduct of a fulfilling life, like a journey that is worth going, adventures, like purpose. And while you have ups and downs in your mood and in your just like emotions, you're doing something that feels important and meaningful, and that leads to a more sustainable form of happiness. Not like the short dopamine happiness that we are
Right.
chasing so often, but a more sustainable.
That also gives you the get up and go to actually do those things that are a little boring or a little not as fun to do.
Yeah.
And there's been a whole bunch of research on what came. There's always the chicken and the egg question, what came first, but there's also the gratitude and joyfulness piece that's the same way. A lot of people think that people who are joyful have a lot of things to be grateful for, and it's actually been proven that the people who take time to be grateful for what they have are the more joyful people,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is kind of a cool way. So I always encourage people to have a gratitude practice of some sort, whether
Absolutely.
it's the beginning of the day or the end of the day or a joy jar or something like that.
Mm.
And it's just, so the last thing you think of before you go to bed is something joyful that happened, which also helps you get a good night's sleep because you're not thinking of negative things or worried about other things. So it's
I have a little thing that I used to do that might be interesting for the audience, and it's called a gratitude rock. So if you have a nice little rock, whatever it is, it could be a different object, and you condition yourself that whenever you touch this rock, this object, you hold on for a moment, and you're grateful for something, and then you carry around this rock in your pocket, maybe with your keys, maybe with your something. So each day, at least 2 times, you're going to touch the rock, like in the morning when you put it in, and then in the evening when you put it out, maybe even more in between the day. And I did the same thing with a rock that was a necklace, basically. That's a very important person gave to me.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I lost it in Bali at some point, but this was my gratitude rock. So each time I touch this necklace, I would put it off for showering. I I was grateful for something, and it really, like you were saying, it created more joy in my life.
Yeah, because people don't realize how much they actually have to be grateful for, even as simple as being able to, you know, yeah. If you ask my mother, how her day is, and she says it's great. I'm looking down at the daisies, because when you're looking up at the daisies, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
So. But as simple as just waking up and putting your feet on the floor is something to be grateful for sometimes. So it's um, and I know you with your holistic and mindset coaching work, you like to work with, as you have on your website, you work with conscious entrepreneurs and freelancers who know that their own personal, spiritual, and emotional development is the foundation of a thriving business.
Yes.
Your business is an extension of who you are on the inside, which I think is phenomenal. And so many people are just out there to make the almighty buck, make the dollar, and not have a purpose behind it. And do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah. So for me, and it's interesting because here in Greece, I'm with my family, and we're having very um, very interesting discussions. And then my worldview is quite different than the worldview of some of my parents or brothers and sisters, and they don't necessarily understand why I am so passionate about working on myself. They would say like, oh, isn't that a little bit egoistic? And for me, it's like, no, it's not, because I can only give as much as I have. The more I am in my power and my potential, the more I can have an impact. So with the people that I work, I like everyone who comes to me, they have like dreams and goals, and that's all great. But I always make sure that in the process of the coaching journey that we go through together, they as a person grow, and as a result, everything else improves as well. And it's kind of effortless, because if we see ourselves in a better way,
Mhm.
and we develop better habits and just a better mindset in general, then things change like magic a little bit. You don't have to force yourself to do this, and then this is the goal, and this is the next step, an action plan. It becomes the new nature of you to do those things, because
Mhm.
you as a person are on a higher level. Mm.
Yeah, and that goes back to self-care in general. If we don't, it's a higher level of self-care, but so many people aren't even at a low level of self-care where they're taking care of what they need. And I always like to quote something I heard a while ago and I can't remember who I heard it from, but it was always give from your saucer and not your cup,
Mm.
because what's in your cup is your core, and if you're giving away your core, it depletes, and that's it. If you're giving from your saucer, it's your overflow. So you have to keep filling up the cup so
Yeah.
that there's something to give from the saucer. It's like any endowment fund, for a nonprofit or something. You're not allowed to touch the principal piece, because
Mhm.
otherwise you deplete the principal, then there's no interest and the fund's gone. So the same thing with with what we have to give. And it's like some of the, take care of the caregiver, care for the caregiver. And it's a lot of things when people are caring for sick people, they don't take care of themselves because they're giving so much to the sick person. But if they don't take care of themselves, they're going to be in that boat, and no one's going to take care of either one of them. So it's so important, especially with what we've gone through in the past year and a half, to take care of yourself and fill your own cup up.
Absolutely. And I mean, self, um, I guess like self work, you could call it. It's work, and it's not always easy, right? I mean, there are things we can do self-care, just taking time and relaxing, and that's very important, and that can be nice to do that. It can also be super weird if we're not used to it. But there's also self-work that is really hard work, to
Hmm.
work against your ego and to break your old beliefs and recondition your subconsciousness and do like serious self-inquiry. Like that takes dedication, and like the resistance we can experience from like our ego is like serious. Yeah. And so it's not like, oh, you're just egoistic and doing like your own little things for yourself. Like sometimes I wish I could just not do it, but I know the importance of it. So I'm dedicated when it comes to my meditation, my journaling practice, and those kind of things.
I have a morning meditation practice, and I know the last couple of weeks I kind of got out of kilter because of a whole bunch of early morning stuff that was shoved on my plate. And I notice those days when I don't start with my meditation, I'm off the whole day.
Mm.
My whole day is just like all mixed up, and I'm not centered, and I don't get anything done, or don't get half of what I need to get done. And just having that, that morning practice to center myself is really important,
Hmm.
just to be productive for everything else I want to do for the day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you asked me about like holistic mindset coaching.
Mhm.
The way I would explain that is I see our mind and how we think and our beliefs as like this is the core piece of how we experience life. So relationships, your self-image, productivity, time management, success, all of those things can be traced back to how you think about those different areas. So I work with my clients on their mindset, but I do it in a holistic way. That means I'm not only helping them to say improve their money mindset, or their beliefs around, I don't know, connection and love, but all the different areas that we have in our lives, they're interconnected.
Mhm.
They influence our emotions, and then in a different emotional state, we act in a different way in whatever we do. So that's why for me, I went through a lot of different kind of labels for my service that I offer.
Mhm.
The most basic, or maybe, yeah, most common one would be life coaching. But a
Right.
lot of people, they're like, life coaching, maybe they've heard something on the TV or whatever. Um, so I went through a couple of those labels, and then I created the label holistic mindset coaching, because that really describes how I see, yeah, the core of the work.
And that's what actually drew, when I looked at your stuff, it drew me to wanting to have you on the show. So because I see I like the fact that you take that all into account when you're working with your clients, rather than just this is what you have to do for your business kind of
Yes.
thing. So it's I've been doing a lot of work myself, and one of the things I've been doing has been I work with doTERRA Essential Oils, which is a network marketing company. So I've been doing a program with one of the lead network marketing trainers, and we spent the whole month of January on personal development.
Mm-hmm.
Every week, every Monday we had and Friday we had a personal development thing. So it's key to developing all what's set up for the whole rest of the year of what we're doing. All came down to the core work, some core work that we did back in January. And it's just simple things like mirror work or anything like that, where you're looking in a mirror and just what from Lisa Nichols was the speaker that we had then, and she was talking about for 21 days you should um, complete the sentence, your name, I'm proud of you for
Mm.
7 times, and then I forgive you for 7 times, and I promise, or I what's the third one? I promise to do
Okay.
that and do that 7 times, and do it looking at yourself in the mirror. 7 times each of those, 7 different things for each of those statements. And I found it amazing. It was hard to do in the beginning because, what am I forgiving myself for? Or what am I committing to do? But then it was amazing how some stuff just popped up, and it made me stop and think like, wow, I didn't know I had to forgive myself for that. So
Did you use new things every time you did it?
you can, or you can use the same ones. Some of the stuff tended to be there a lot. So you do it 7 times in a row, and there's 7 different things, and then you do each of the sentences 7 times. But from day to day, some of the things repeated, some of the things didn't. Sometimes it was all new stuff, and sometimes that really surprised me what came up. So it was just that's one of the things that kind of fell away. I need to get back on that one. But
yeah, but your point that you spent like the whole month on like personal development, for me, it's like, of course, that's a really good investment of your time and resources. Yeah. And this is why when you read like this part from my website, I want to work with people who already understand that working on themselves is essential. Because, like I have to start somewhere, right, with a client. If I first need to kind of get them to the understanding that working on themselves is like important for everything else they want to achieve, then yeah.
So if people are interested in working with you, best place to reach you is Instagram?
Yeah, the best place.
Or your website?
I'm actually not using my websites so much, but I can get an idea of who I am from my website. But then just reaching out on Instagram, sending me a DM. I don't have like a whole bunch of followers there, so I definitely will see it. And yeah, then usually I just start chatting with people, and if me and the other person feel like we want to hop on a little call and do like a 10-15 minute chat, then yeah, we do that and see from there if there's like the right vibe together, and if they're interested in learning more.
Cool. Well, like I've said to you before, I definitely want to continue our conversation on a personal level. So, and I'm just putting in the comments how they can reach you on both Instagram and go to your website so that they can just get a little bit more of a feeling for who
if
Jan
someone
is.
doesn't have Instagram, I'm also on Facebook, I'm also on LinkedIn, but I'm not really posting there so much. So if people want to get an idea of what I'm doing and like watch some of my videos, then Instagram is definitely the place.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. If you just want to hang out in the green room for a second while I wrap up the show, I'll be right back with you.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Well, I can't wait to actually work with Jan. So I hope you guys reach out or check him out on his website to learn more about him, or check him out on Instagram. He has some really good postings. And as always, like my Facebook page or like my Instagram feed to be notified of upcoming Living Lives. Next week, the guest hasn't actually confirmed, so I don't want to actually say who it is yet. But I have a couple good guests coming up in the next couple of weeks, which will be fun. And as always, I encourage you all to go out, make a connection, and live your best lives. Thanks, and have a great day, everybody.